Okay, guys, I'm going to give you a great piece of advice if you are attempting to invest in these markets over the short term or over the long term. And I really want to help you here. So I'm hoping that you have an open mind to this. Please try to invest in more than one collecting category. And preferably, if you're going to invest in different collecting categories, make sure they do not belong to the same overall market. In other words, those of you that love to hate me and tell me, Sean, you don't understand the market for Pokemon. Pokemon cards are going to the moon, then they're going to Mars, then they're going right up your anus because you don't understand anything about the Pokemon market. You're horrible and you're biased to us. If that's you and you truly believe that, can you do me a favor and just take my advice? Look, I have nothing against the wonderful Pokemon collectors that make up the overall internet, that watch my channel, that watch others, that love to hate me, that hate to love me, whatever it is. Please understand, though, if that is you, I am giving you the greatest advice anybody can give you. I would strongly advise you, while times are good in the wonderful Pokemon kingdom that you find yourself, try to branch out and learn other markets. Reason being is, if you are supposedly making as much money as some of you guys claim, which after speaking to some of you, I have some doubts, but regardless, if some of you are making as much money as you claim in the overall Pokemon market, now would be a good time to take some of that money and put it in another collecting market and see if you can get the same result. See if you can keep it going. For instance, you may love Pokemon. I get it. Not trying to take that love affair away from you. Believe me, last thing that I want to do is upset a Timmy, Kimmy, or Poindexter who loves Pokemon. It's not what I want to do here. But did you ever consider maybe trying your luck at Lego or trying your luck at video games? Or maybe even, just hear me out, maybe you want to learn something on the antique side of the equation. If you have money coming in from one collecting category where you're telling me, Sean, you don't understand, I know my market, I'm making 10, 20, 30% compounding on each particular Pokemon product I buy. Now, full disclosure, I have people that tell me that. I completely disagree because at some point, you would pretty much surpass the net worth of Warren Buffett. It's really not realistic. But if that's you, you claim that you're able to do that, why don't you start learning other markets and try to succeed in those markets? You know, this is all I'm going to say. Whether you like Rudy with Alpha Investments, whether you like Scott Pratt, SM Pratt, all of those individuals, every time I watch their videos, much like me, they have different collectibles in the background or on shelves. They're not just investing in one core collecting category. And this is something that I try to explain to you guys. If you claim that it's all you, that you know these markets, that you're an expert, that you are somebody that has all this knowledge, and you didn't just get lucky in some of these markets, then you should be able to take your skills from Pokemon and translate that into Lego sets, or video games, or Nintendo Amiibo, or antique bottles. Whatever it is that you want to go after, guys, you need to start to learn other markets. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. A lot of you guys are going to hate me, all right? I want to be very clear here. This too shall pass. What you are experiencing right now in all these markets, whether it's the Lego speculative bubble that we find ourselves in, or the insanity of Pokemon, or people paying a premium for Amiibos, or whatever it is, at some point, this is going to end. It's going to pass you by. And a lot of you guys are going to end up getting slapped in the face with a stale donut. So why not branch out and at least attempt other collecting categories that you may have a passion for? Now, full disclosure, I'm not trying to force you down this proverbial path. If you don't have a passion for some of these markets, like you tell me, you know what, Sean, I only like Pokemon, or I only like Magic the Gathering, or I only like video games, whatever it is, or I only like Lego. If that's you, by all means, forget this video existed. But just know, all these markets at some point in the future, and we don't know when, They're going to hit their peak, and then they're going to start to drop down. And at some point, they're going to cease to reach the previous highs that they already hit. And you're not going to be able to time the market. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much knowledge you have. I don't care how much experience you have dealing in Pokemon cards, in Lego sets, in Magic the Gathering. It is impossible to time any market, whether it's a financial market, whether it's the real estate market, whether it's a commodity market, whether it's a crypto market, whether it's a collectible market. You need to understand these concepts. This is why I tell you guys, a lot of you are sitting on some of this stuff. And this is what always cracks me up. These markets go up, nobody wants to sell. When the market goes down, though, you guys are all asking, when's it going to go back up? You guys got to learn to sell into the hype. Take some of those profits and put them in other markets that you can learn from and expand your knowledge. That's how you become a quote-unquote expert in the antiques and collectibles trade. It's not done by staying stagnant. It's not done by investing in solely one market. You know, guys, this is one thing that I am going to say to you. Always remember, an expert is somebody that knows more and more about less and less. You have to branch out. You have to keep learning. You have to keep your skills fresh. There's a lot of you out there that keep coming to me saying, Sean, you don't understand. These are my numbers. If I keep doing this, I'm going to be worth X number of dollars in X number of years. It doesn't work like that in the collectibles market. You are not investing in financial assets. There is no quantifiable numbers we can look at and go, simply because you paid $400 for this booster box, obviously, because it went from $100 to $200 to $400, now it's going to go to $800 to $1,600 to $3,600 to $7,200. Markets in the antiques and collectibles trade do not work that way, guys. There is no fundamental cash flow. There is no fundamental information that we can look at that shows, oh, this is the PE ratio of a booster box of Pokemon cards or Magic the Gathering. Please understand that if you are truly one of these individuals, who I highly doubt, who come to me and claim you're making all this money, yet you live in a one-bedroom apartment and drive a Honda Civic, which really I doubt that you are making all this money, please start to sell into the market, take that money, take the profits, and build a well-diversified financial portfolio, number one, and then possibly, if you have more money left, start to diversify in other collecting markets. I assure you, the education will be worth it. Just find something that you're passionate about. And number two, don't risk a lot of money in that market. Meaning, let's say that you make $1,000 on a booster box that you just sold. If you take the profit from that booster box and you put like 10 to 20% in a fund, and then you invest that fund in another collecting category, you will gain more knowledge as you go along. Knowledge equates to money in the antiques and collectibles trade. That is why I tell you guys, if you want to be successful in these markets, you should be diversifying into them and learning new markets as you go. You should not be putting all your money into Lego sets, into video games, into antique bottles, into Pokemon cards, whatever it is. Please get something out of this video. Please understand that at some point in the future, could be 5 years from now, could be 10 years from now, could be 20 years from now, could be 30 years from now. I assure you, what you are seeing right now in these markets will pass. Right now, there is somebody out there that is already working on the next big thing. And you got to remember something about collectors. Collectors are very fickle, number one. And number two, every collector out there, I don't care if you're watching this and you're Jeff Bezos, every collector out there has a budget to spend. If something else new comes out down the pike and people want to collect it, people want to own it, people want to hoard it, just like they do today with Pokemon cards or Magic the Gathering cards or whatever it is, you have to understand the money that they're going to spend on that new collectible has to come from somewhere. So more than likely, they're going to cannibalize the budget that they have for Pokemon cards, for Magic the Gathering cards, and the like, or even Lego. And that's where that money is going to come from. As a result, if enough people do that, it will affect the collectability of these items, especially given the fact right now, in the year 23, especially when we talk about Lego, everybody is hoarding factory sealed Lego sets. Everybody. What happens if demand does not remain constant going forward or doesn't increase? All that stuff is just going to languish because the prices for it, supply and demand, it's going to fall. You guys need to diversify. You guys need to venture into other markets that you are comfortable with. You guys cannot stay doing the status quo because there's only one constant in the antiques and collectibles trade. You know what that is? Change. All of these markets change. Don't believe me? Go back and look what people collected back in the 1980s. Go back and look what people collected back in the 1990s. You want to go back further? Go back and look what people collected back in the 1960s and 70s. Hell, even the 40s and 50s. That's why I tell you, if you want to invest long term, you should be on the antique side of the equation. There were people in the 1960s and 70s that were collecting antique bottles. There were people in the 1920s and 30s that were collecting rare coins that are still collected today. Guess what, guys? There's very few pop culture collectibles that were being hoarded and collected in the 1950s and 60s that are collected today. You can name some, certain comic books, you're 100% correct. But aside from that, there were very few items that stood the test of time. These markets are going to change. Please learn from this video. Do not be offended by it. I'm not offended by you. Don't be offended by me. It's just a suggestion. Thanks for watching and have a great day.